Dennis Dodd wrote it's a very long article, very, very long, about private equity in college football. And the general premise is, and this is a headline, like private equity people, money people think that college football is leaving literally billions of dollars on the table every single year because the media contracts are all splintered out by conference instead of like the NFL. Everybody has pooled their rights together and you just sell it as one big entity. And that is why the super leagues have come into focus here. Like Project Rudy would aim to make everybody more money by doing that. Now, will that be realistic? I'll let you know based on this article whether or not my opinion changed on any of that. But the other thing, it just dropped in this incredibly interesting nugget about Patrick Mahomes. Could Patrick Mahomes own a piece of the Big 12 in college football? Because this just like sprinkled in, well, Patrick Mahomes maybe planting the seed for that. So one of the people Dennis Dodd talked to was Casey Wasserman, who heads the Wasserman Group, which he says is one of the most powerful entertainment and sports executives, makes him one of the most powerful execs in sports. And Wasserman said, we're at a fork in the road no matter what anybody says. College football is either leaving the current structure and keeping all the money, or they're staying. It's not that complicated. So leaving the current structure, if you could turn it into some sort of super league or not. Wasserman says that there's about a $4 billion to $5 billion valuation shortfall in college football. So they're leaving $4 to $5 billion on the table right now. College football is. It's a lot of money, and you guys know money. It's like Wu-Tang Clan in college football right now. It's cream. Cash rules everything around me. That is college football to a T right now, whether it's the TV networks, whether it's the schools, whether it's becoming the All-State 12, whether it's the Big Ten exploring private equity, whatever it might be, it's all about money. So that seems like that could be something to get your attention, right? Project Rudy is one of those Super League proposals that would claim to be able to extract some of that money if that's the way things went. And they had a 70-team proposal, which for a lot of you listening to this channel, if you're in Big 12 country, if you're in ACC country, that sounds pretty good, right? If it's going to be 70 teams, that sounds pretty damn good. Points out in the article, the Super League would be similar to what the NFL did in the 1960s. Then Commissioner Pete Rozelle convinced owners that combining to a single entity business and sharing revenue would be more profitable and competitive. One source told CBS the projected annual revenue of Project Rudy would be at a minimum of $3 billion and as much as $10 billion. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It sounds pretty good. It did talk about earlier. Let me double check this to try and give you a... So the Power 4 media rights deals. Yeah, right now, if you combine the media rights deals of the Power 4 conferences, they're worth a combined $17 billion. But that's over the next, for the Big 12 and SEC, or Big 12 and Big 10. The two that are up in 2030, right? You're looking at like 5 more years on that. The others are even longer than that. So you got to divide that by a bunch of years and you still just get to 17. They're talking about this altogether could be worth as much as $10 billion for one single year. So Project Rudy is pretty bullish on the amount of money that they would make. And apparently one group of 5 commissioner agrees at least and says, if your story says that there's far greater selling power with the conferences rolling all their rights together at the same time in a unified way, then you're literally not missing a thing. Okay, seems like they're on board with that. Now, private capital becomes a big part of the discussion here. Dennis Dodd claims to have learned, CBS Sports has learned that at least one venture capital entity had interest in buying into a Power 4 athletic department. So those of you that have freaked out about private equity in college football, it's been generally at the level of like a conference. I guess we did hear about, like Florida State and Drew Weatherford, their former quarterback that's been involved with, private capital. But one athletic department. It went on to like detail more of that later on in the article, but a Power 4 athletic department getting in bed with private equity itself. That's really getting in there, man. That's really getting in there. But the reason that those sharks are circling the waters, these venture capitalists, is because they feel like they look at like this Project Rudy proposal and they're like, yeah, man, it seems like there's a lot of money being left on the table here. That's why the Big 12, the reporting that came out about the Big 12 meeting with a private equity group was kind of based around that same idea that they got this valuation that by the next TV deal for the Big 12, their valuation would double. So twice as much money. There you go. Bam. Let's ride. Of course you'd want to invest in that. There's also this nugget that was dropped in. College football had twice the viewership of the NBA, but the NBA generates twice the revenue. Again, pooling all the rights together, they seem to be making a compelling case here that could be something that's good to do. And now here's this. Okay? So they make mention, Dennis Dodd does, and CBS in this article about, hey, global giant CVC was involved for a time with the Big 12 last year. And then in the very next paragraph, it says sources tell CBS Sports to keep an eye on Otro Capital, an emerging firm run by former Redbird partners who specialize in sports, media, gaming, and entertainment. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Rory McIlroy, and boy, one of my favorites, actor Ryan Reynolds are among the investors. So you've got an investment group named Otro Capital that includes Patrick Mahomes trying to get involved here. Patrick Mahomes and all the money he has, that $500 million contract with the Chiefs, he's trying to get involved in the Big 12, potentially, man. I mean, I guess I say the Big 12, just a part of college sports. It led in from the article about, hey, someone was interested in the Big 12, and then here's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I mean, I shouldn't leave Travis Kelce out of this, a fellow Big 12 alum. But that's interesting, is it not? Could that make you stomach private equity, private capital a little bit more if you're a Big 12 fan? If it's going to be Patrick Mahomes is pretty beloved throughout the conference because you got Kansas, K-State, and Texas Tech fans that are all rooting for the guy. Would that help you stomach it a little bit more? You're saying, well, at least now we're owned by Patrick and Travis. That sounds pretty good. It definitely sounds like something that would be right up their alley. It's something that they would really enjoy to have more of an ownership stake in. I mean, Mahomes already has an ownership stake in the Royals and then the women's soccer team that's here in Kansas City, with his wife being heavily involved in that as well. He loves sports. And if it's something that can get him like at least indirectly involved with Texas Tech there, I'm sure he would love it because you see Mahomes sitting courtside at Texas Tech basketball games all the time. Like he's definitely a guy that's not shy about going back. So I thought that was fascinating, right? That was fascinating. The other part of it is like, Tech, can you save some money for the rest of us, man? You've already got the multi-billionaire in Cody Campbell that can bankroll basically whatever right now with any of the programs. And now Patrick Mahomes on his way to becoming a billionaire. And we're talking about him, possibly owning part of the sport, getting involved with a private equity group within the sport here. Anyway, last couple of tidbits here from the story. Dodd asks, the basic question becomes, can the outdated financial model overseen by commissioners and TV survive when there's so much money to be made? The outside interest almost hints of the business world's version of a hostile takeover. So he's almost kind of forecasting here like a hostile takeover by private equity folks because they're seeing how much money is being left on the table. But the key to all of it, as he mentions, any change in the discussion has to be blessed by the SEC and the Big Ten, who are the de facto owners of major college sports at this moment. And that is very true. And there still has been really no indication that they have much interest in that at all. And some of this is because, hey, even if there's more money and cash rules everything around me, all that, even if it's more money for the SEC and Big Ten, they would be theoretically in that scenario giving up a level of power that they have right now. And that's probably really what it comes down to. Like, they don't want to cough up any of that power, even if it would mean a little bit more money for them, because it would also mean more money for everybody else, and definitely a little bit more even of a playing field in terms of the power structure, the power dynamic. So keep an eye on it. Look, obviously I would love to see Project Rudy, not just because of what it means for Big 12 schools, but because getting everybody back together, organizing geographically. I mean, there's just so much about it that makes sense and takes us closer to what the sport is really supposed to be. I would very much love to see that. Maybe someday, kids, we'll get Sankey and Petiti on board with that. Thank you for being here tonight. Congratulations again to Houston. I'm pumped to go watch that game tomorrow night. We'll see, depending on how things go, how late it is, all that. I don't know if anybody would people be up and interested if they win and doing something live. We'll see. But please like the video on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to the Open for Business Big 12 newsletter at ofbnews.com if you want more Houston coverage. It's all going to be there in your inbox tomorrow morning. Open for Business, ofbnews.com to get subscribed.